You see them everywhere now, right? Gliding silently down the street, and we all think of them as the future. But what if I told you the story of the electric car didn't start in Silicon Valley? Nope. It's a wild, 150-year journey of an idea that was once the king of the road, then all but vanished, and is now staging one of the biggest comebacks in history.
So let's just start with this one. Kind of mind-blowing thought. We see EVs as the absolute cutting edge of technology. But what if that quiet, clean, futuristic car you're thinking of was actually the popular choice way back at the very beginning of the automotive age? I'm talking over 100 years ago.
And that brings us to Chapter 1, the first electric dream. You have to picture a time before gas stations were on every corner. A time when electricity wasn't the weird alternative, it was the clean, it was the modern, and honestly, it was the obvious choice for a personal car.
Yep, you heard that right. Over a third. I mean, just try to imagine it. The bustling streets of New York or Paris, and a huge chunk of the cars just gliding by are silent, running on batteries. This wasn't some niche hobby product. For a very real moment in time, this was the mainstream.
Okay, and this slide, this is really the why. It just lays it all out. On one side, you've got the gasoline car. You had to literally get out and wrestle with this dangerous hand crank just to get it started. It was loud, it was smelly, it vibrated like crazy. And on the other side, the electric car. You just turned a key. It was quiet, it was smooth, and there were no nasty fumes. If you lived in a city, I mean, come on, the choice was a no-brainer.
So what on earth happened? If electric cars were so clearly better in so many ways, why did they basically disappear for almost 100 years? Well, that brings us to the next part of our story, the moment the internal combustion engine took over and changed absolutely everything. And the man right at the center of this hostile takeover was, you guessed it, Henry Ford. See those early electric cars? They were often kind of expensive, toys for the rich. But Ford had a totally different vision, a car for everyone. The Model T wasn't as refined as an electric for sure, but it won on the two fronts that mattered most. It was dirt cheap, and it could go the distance. So it wasn't just one thing that sidelined the first electric car. It was this perfect storm of factors, all hitting at the exact same time. You've got Ford's assembly line slashing prices, then huge discoveries of crude oil make gasoline cheap and available everywhere. And then, and this was a big one, the invention of the electric starter got rid of that awful hand crank. All of a sudden, the biggest hassles of the gasoline car were gone, while the EV's biggest weakness, its short range, became a total deal-breaker. The electric dream just went to sleep. For decades and decades, the electric car was little more than a trivia question, a historical footnote. But then, as we got closer to the 21st century, a whole new set of worries. Oil crises, city pollution, climate change started to spark a comeback. The electric idea was about to get a serious reboot. Now, this revival didn't happen overnight. It was built on a few key breakthroughs. First, in 1991, the lithium-ion battery becomes commercially available. That's the bedrock for everything that comes next. Then in '96, GM's EV1 was this bold, futuristic experiment that proved a modern EV was even possible. And then came the real game changer. 2008, the Tesla Roadster. It just completely shattered the idea that electric cars were just glorified golf carts. Suddenly, they were fast, they were cool, they were something you wanted. And really, if you have to point to the single most important ingredient in this whole modern story, it's this, the lithium-ion battery. This is the technology that was first made for things like laptops and phones, but it had this incredible energy density. In simple terms, it could pack a massive amount of power into a pretty small and light package. That was the breakthrough that finally gave EVs a practical, usable range. It was the key that unlocked this whole revolution. Which brings us to today, and, well, to the future. The comeback is complete, and the revolution is hitting the accelerator. So let's take a quick look at what the road ahead might look like as we charge full speed towards 2050. The future of the EV is still all about the future of the battery. Right now, we're in the lithium-ion age. The next huge leap is going to be solid-state, batteries that use solid materials instead of liquid. The promise there is that they'll be safer, they'll charge way faster, and pack even more power. And beyond that, scientists are already messing with totally new chemistries that could one day make today's batteries look ancient. Okay, now let's get a little wild. What if you never had to plug your car in, ever, again? Imagine highways and city streets that have wireless charging tech built right into the pavement, just topping up your vehicle as you drive. This isn't just science fiction. People are actively developing this, and it could completely eliminate range anxiety forever.
And you know what? Let's take it one step further. The final form of the electric vehicle might not even be a car that you own. It could be a whole network of shared, self-driving electric pods that you just summon with your phone when you need one. This would totally redefine how we get around our cities.
And this future isn't just a pipe dream. It's being pushed forward by this incredible global momentum. Major markets around the world are setting really aggressive goals to phase out gasoline cars. Adoption is picking up steam everywhere, and huge companies are switching their entire fleets over to electric. The shift is happening, and it is happening fast.
So we end right back where we started, with a question that kind of brings this whole 150-year journey full circle. The very first cars were electric. After a century-long detour, it really seems like the last cars we ever build will be electric too. It's an amazing story, closing the loop on a technology that was way ahead of its time. Something to think about.